History was made in Charlotte back in 1983 when Harvey Gantt was elected as the city's first black mayor.
That's right. His story is also documented at the International African American Museum in Charleston. 34 years later, in 2017, Vi Lyles became the first elected female black mayor in the Queen City. To talk about then, now, and forever in politics, we had a conversation with Charlotte Mayor number 50 and number 59. They admit things have changed and some things have not.
When I ran for mayor, one of my themes in the campaign was balanced growth.
Balanced growth really did start with your administration, and it got us to a place that we could actually begin to look at affordable housing. I remember the Charlotte News was still being printed. It was the afternoon paper. And if you look over off of McDowell Street, we built 4 houses. And remember, they were in the newspaper. City spends $75,000 on affordable housing. And it was
that was in First Ward.
It was in First
That was
Ward.
back in the
It
70s?
was back in the
Back in the
70s,
70s.
yes. And it was First Ward, and it was like, why are they wasting this money?
It's so interesting that affordable housing was an issue back then. It's an issue now, and it may be an issue forever.
It's
What do you
always
think
going to
about
be
It
an issue.
is always.
The thing that worries me today, Mayor, is homelessness.
When I started out as mayor, I thought homelessness was something that we could solve. And I think Harvey's so correct. It's always going to be with us. And the difference today is that you have to think about addiction and mental health.
Charlotte is dealing with a spike in juvenile crime. Did you have to talk about a spike in juvenile crime back in the 80s? Talk to me about
I
the
don't
crime
remember
where we
that
are.
quite as clearly. During the time I was mayor, the big crime issue was drugs and
It
the
was crack
availability
cocaine
and
at the
crack
time.
cocaine.
Yeah, you're dealing with more than cocaine these days, aren't you? Yeah.
Well, we have fentanyl, and we have all types of drugs that are coming into our city, and it's killing some young people.
I think the difference today, though, is that the crime we see and the violence we see has a lot to do with the Second Amendment argument about guns and the availability of guns. And that's a whole issue that I don't recall having to talk about as much.
We've got to determine some pathways for young, particularly young black men, to not have to choose the path of shooting a gun. So what else can we do? The City Council right now is looking into as many programs and opportunities that we can. But a lot of this is just the change in the way that our culture has grown. And it's not necessary.
And the problem is not going to be solved overnight. I mean, what we're talking really about is addressing a kind of generational change that has to occur.
Talk to me about technology. How has technology changed from then to now and forever?
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up. Much of my information didn't come from reading a little small phone, okay? And I'm never going to get used to that.
The technology for us is almost everything. We have city apps, we have video meetings, we have film that we have to keep, and all of this is public information. So you can't destroy anything.
While we talk about things that have changed in Charlotte, is there anything that has remained the same?
We've had honest government, I can really say that, and we've had a well-managed city. We've had a string of excellent city managers.
We ended this conversation discussing the importance of young people seeing black leaders.
And as an African American, that I want to set a good example so that they might want to aspire to first being a good citizen and then saying, you know what, if I get the necessary skills, I can do this job too.
Black and brown kids come into this office. What I say to them is, I'm mayor, but you can be president.
Now you can watch this full conversation right now on WBTV.com.
Coming up. From the beauty salon
To the barbershop.
It's more than just hair. How our crowns symbolize identity, resistance, creativity, and freedom.
Plus, a place of refuge and hope.
Praise the Lord, everybody.
The role of the black church in our communities, then, now, and forever.
Closed captioning on WBTV News is sponsored by Subaru South Charlotte and Subaru Concord.